Well, I did it again in a fairly recent project, maybe a couple months ago. I carved a box that had some design on the inside of the box, and I applied the pattern upside down so that when you open the box lid, it was upside down. I'll share a link to that video in this one. But so that was a mistake in applying the pattern, and I made another pattern-based mistake. This time it was not on applying the pattern, but the sizing of it. So you can see this rosette here on the relatively squarish piece of wood. This is a napkin holder, and I centered it and made sure that the rosette was about as big as it can be. I wanted it to fill and look nice here, but I failed to take into account how it was going to be constructed. And so it's got this base with the two slots that it sits in here, like that. But what I found as I was, after I carved it and started putting it together to see what it looked like, the vertical part sat too deep in these slots. I didn't really take into account how deep those slots were, and so it actually cut off part of the bottom of the design, which obviously I wasn't happy with. So had a bit of another jerry-rigging solution here. In this case, I needed to make the slots shallower. That was the only solution. I already carved this. I can't do anything about that. So I would either have to glue an additional extension on the bottom here, or fill in the slot, which once you assemble it, it's kind of the same thing either way. Just needing to lift this edge of the wood up. So I used a practice board, sliced off a strip of that, which is about the thickness that I need to, about half of this depth really is what I'm taking up. So sliced that off, and then sliced off a little sliver along the side to make that fit the width, and shimmied those in there. Those are a nice tight fit at this point. And so now you can see that when I put this in and fit that all the way down, it works a lot better. It's still a little bit tighter than I would like. Vertical space would be ideal if it matched the top part up here, but at least you can see the whole thing, and I don't think anyone's going to notice about that too much. But then the second issue I had was that these were pretty loose in here, and it was a bit wobbly, especially since I took out so much of the vertical space for it to be glued into. So the little sliver of these that I had to remove to make it fit inside this groove, I ended up using as shims. So then I glued just those tiny slivers of wood along the back here, and in just the thickness so that it'll match in there, and so that makes it a snugger fit. This one's still a little bit loose, and this other one is quite tight, so I might still need a little bit of sanding on this one, especially once I apply the sanding sealer, which tends to make the wood expand just a touch, and I'm going to do that before I apply it. It's just going to be easier to apply the finishing products in separate pieces. But then once all of that is done, I'll go ahead and put plenty of glue in there and glue these in, and I think it's going to be just fine. So definitely pay attention when you're creating patterns, applying patterns, all that stuff. Take the whole picture into account, how the item is going to be used, how it's going to be constructed, all of that, and learn from my mistakes.